My name is Laura Lee. I work for WAPL 1057, and I started working for Woodward in 2024. I got into radio completely by accident. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I went into college, so I kind of just took the basics, but I needed an internship. And my dad worked in New York City. I lived in Jersey, so I thought it'd be cool to take the train in and see my dad for lunch. And there's a radio station in New York that needed interns, so I interned for the afternoon guy, and I pulled his carts and CDs, because back then, you still had to do all that. It's automated now. The production director needed weekend sponsor voices, so I did that for him, and he's like, oh, you've got a voice for radio. Ever think about doing it? And I'm like, never have, but I also don't know what I'm gonna do with my life, so I made a tape. I sent that tape out and ended up getting a job in Sacramento, California, all the way across the country. So I packed a bag and took a backpack and a pillow, flew across 3,000 miles to the other side of the country, and started my career. And 24 years later, I'm still doing it. My inspiration for becoming a radio personality was, I think, to challenge myself. Even though I didn't know that I wanted to necessarily be a radio personality going into the internship at the radio station, just learning all of the things behind the scenes, what they had to do, being told that, I kind of had the personality and the voice to do so, and then getting the job 3,000 miles away from my family, it was a challenge. And so I was like, challenge accepted. What keeps me doing radio is the experiences. Radio, you're not gonna get rich in radio. I make enough to pay my bills, and that's really been enough. I mean, just the people I've met, the experiences I've had, the shows I've been to. I've moved 8 states for this job. Actually, I've been to Wisconsin twice now. I worked in Milwaukee in the early 2000s. I've liked moving around. I've enjoyed that part. I'd like to not do that now. I've reached that age where I'd like to settle in. I really love Appleton and the surroundings and the community, and I love it here. So would like to be here for a minute, but leading up to this, it's been an adventure. My favorite part of the job is really connecting with the listeners. Over the years, I've made a lot of connections, met a lot of friends through radio, and even still to this day, they will follow me on social media. We follow each other on social media. And just the last couple cities I've been in, they still listen to me today, through the WAPL app. Even though they're in different cities like Columbus and Charleston, we still keep in touch today, and that's really nice. I chose to work for Woodward because of the Midwest. Actually, a big part of it was because Woodward is in the Midwest. I was born in Minnesota. I've lived in Wisconsin before. I was in Ohio last, and I've lived a lot of places. I lived in California. I've lived out on the East Coast. I've lived down in Texas. I've lived a lot of places, and I really feel the most at home in the Midwest. People work hard, people play hard, and I love it out here. I really feel like I fit in, so that was a big reason for coming here. What motivates me to get out of bed every morning is my 3 alarm clocks. Because I have a morning show, and the morning show starts at 5 a.m., and so I have to be out of bed at 3:30. And that's if I don't want to shower. If I shower the night before, I can be out of bed at 3:30. If I need to shower that morning, it's 3 a.m. So the motivation for getting out of bed is literally a paycheck. I love doing mornings, but I have to get out of bed to get to work to be able to be on the air at 5 a.m. Yeah. So in my downtime, I would like to say that I work out. I'm working on that. I'm working on working out. But I recently got a VR headset, and that's kind of like working out, because I play this game called Beat Saber. So, put that on and you're basically hitting virtual blocks to music. But I do that, I go home and I just put this headset on, and I just go from real reality into virtual reality, and I've been doing that a lot lately. And if depending on the season, if it's hockey season, I'm watching a lot of hockey. So, again, depending on the season, I do like to explore, I do like to go hiking, I do like to see new things. So I guess really depending on the season, what I'm doing is, either staying inside and watching sports, or out and about, if it's nice enough. And then a lot of times being in virtual reality. Originally, I wanted to be a marine biologist, but when I went into college, I realized you needed to know chemistry and physics, and I'm not great at math. So that quickly went out the window. These days, there was a time where I thought for a second about getting out of radio, and I thought flight attendant. It's a lot like radio in the sense that, you might show up to the same place every day, but it's never gonna be the same thing. It's always gonna be a different situation. So that's, I think right now, that question today, if I wasn't doing radio, it'd probably be flight attendant. I moved from Columbus to here after acquiring the job from Woodward, and this is a very special market, in my opinion, when it comes to radio. Just as an example, I worked in Columbus, Ohio before this, and I worked for a station that had been around for 30 years, and it was well loved. The people who knew it really loved it, although I could still go and talk to someone and say, oh, I work for such and such station. They'd be like, what? They wouldn't know. Here, I can be in a grocery store, and someone be like, oh yeah, oh, you're Lorelei with Cutter, and I've been here for such a short time, and it's really nice. People here in this market really embrace radio and media in general, and I think that's really nice. You don't get that in a lot of parts of the country anymore these days, and so it's just really refreshing to be in a place where media still matters, and radio in general, because radio was always meant to be there for the community, and that's, we're there for the community's there for us, and it's a great relationship.